My name is Elena Kovac. I used to be the youngest world champion this country ever had. At 19, I touched the wall at the Olympics, looked up at the big screen, and saw a 1 next to my name. Water ran down my face. I couldn't tell if it was from the pool or my tears. I stood on the podium, the national anthem playing, my heart pounding harder than ever. I thought that was just the beginning, that I'd keep swimming into my 30s, my 40s, until I simply couldn't anymore. I didn't make it to 30. I swam until I was 32, then retired. Not because I couldn't do it anymore, but because someone said they needed me. That person was my husband, David Cohen, head coach of the national swim team.
Elena, the family needs you. Lucy is still little, and I can't keep hiring babysitters. You've been swimming your whole life. It's time to take a break.
I hesitated.
You've won glory for this country. Now it's time to win some peace for our family.
The day I handed in my retirement papers, the sky was overcast. I looked up at the pool. The water was so blue and still, like a mirror. The mirror reflected a woman in a down jacket, her eyes slightly red. I told myself it was worth it. For our home, for our child, for him. I chose to believe that. On the big screen flashed a new national record, women's 200-meter butterfly. The new record holder was a 19-year-old girl named Chloe Wang. Her touch time was only 0.3 of a second lower than my world record back then. The man standing next to her clapping, wearing a national team jacket with a proud smile on his face, that was my husband. He put his hand on her shoulder, leaned in and whispered something, and the girl beamed. The headline read, "Coach Cohen does it again. His protege breaks record eyes Olympics." Coach Conan. Not David. Coach Conan. My husband had become someone else's coach, and my record had become someone else's goal. And me? I'd become a former world champion they occasionally mentioned on TV, compared to the new talent told times had changed. That night I went into my study and dug out my dusty goggles. There were still water stains on the lenses, left over from my last training session 8 years ago. I didn't wipe them off. I put them on and walked to the mirror. A 40-year-old woman, fine lines around the eyes, some flab around the middle, hair that hadn't been dyed in a long time, a mix of black and gray. But I looked past all that and saw my eyes in the mirror. They weren't out. They'd been burning all along. I just thought they'd gone out. After that night, I started dreaming. I'd pull as hard as I could, but I could never reach the wall. I'd wake up with my palms drenched in sweat. After that night, I started dreaming. I started watching old race footage. Not the ones I won, the ones I lost. In those losses, what I remembered wasn't the time. It was that blank moment after touching the wall, looking up at the screen. That blankness was scarier than losing. It was the feeling of not knowing who you were. In the years after retirement, I turned myself into someone else. A good wife, a good mother, a good homemaker. I put my medals in a drawer, stuffed my swimsuits at the back of a closet, and buried the feel of the water deep in my memory. I thought that way I could grow old with a clear conscience. But the moment I saw Chloe touch the wall that day, something inside my chest broke. It wasn't jealousy, it was longing. Longing for the version of myself who swam in that lane without thinking, just going forward. I secretly went to the nearest swim shop to my house. The owner was a retired athlete. He recognized me. He asked what I wanted, and I said, a swimsuit, for training.
This one should fit you. Not the newest model, but it'll do the job.
I paid, put it in an opaque bag, and hid it at the very back of my closet when I got home.
Mom, were you really a swimming champion?
Yes,
Then why did you stop?
because Mommy had to take care of you.
Well, you can swim now. I'm already grown up.
I didn't answer. But that night, I lay awake. I didn't answer. But that night, I lay awake. The next morning, I went to a community pool far from home. It wasn't the National Training Center. It was an old pool that got packed with kids on weekends, the locker room floor always wet, the water smelling faintly of chlorine. I bought a monthly pass. The young woman at the front desk asked if I was getting it for my kid. I said no, it's for me. She looked me up and down, smiled, and didn't say anything. There was no malice in that smile, but I knew what she was thinking. Another middle-aged lady trying to lose weight. I put on the new suit. Black, tight. It squeezed the breath out of me. I stood at the edge, looking at the blue water, my legs shaking. Not from cold, from fear. I was afraid I wouldn't be fast, afraid the water wouldn't recognize me anymore, afraid that 8 years of emptiness had really turned me into a hollow shell. I dove in. Water rushed in from all sides, wrapping itself around me. It felt like hugging an old friend I hadn't seen in a long time. The temperature, the feel, it was all still there. My body remembered. It remembered even better than my mind. I swam a 200-meter butterfly. Turns, pulls, kicks, everything was clumsy, my breathing uneven, and in the second half my arms felt like lead. When I touched the wall, I hung onto the edge, gasping for a long time.
Ma'am, you used to train, didn't you?
I asked him what time, and he said 2 minutes 58 seconds. Almost 20 seconds slower than my peak. 20 seconds, in a pool, that's a century. But I smiled, because I knew this was just the start. The next day, I went again. And the day after that, by the fourth day, I noticed a boy. He arrived earlier than me every day, and he was still swimming when I left. He swam freestyle, not fast, but his strokes were solid. He had a foundation. He looked under 20, but there was a weight in his eyes that didn't belong to someone his age.
Auntie, are you a retired athlete?
Sort of. I hesitated, then said,
Me too. I used to be on the provincial team. Then I got hurt and had to quit.
His name was Max, 17 years old, herniated disc, been out for over a year.
I don't know if I can ever go back, but I want to try.
I looked at him and suddenly felt we were a lot alike. Both of us had been told to step away, and neither of us wanted to accept defeat. From that day on, we started training in the same lane. We didn't talk, just swam, occasionally glancing at each other and nodding, but that unspoken understanding was better than any encouragement. When we got out, he handed me a towel. Thanks. I was surprised, but I took it. He smiled and didn't say anything. In that moment, I thought, maybe I'm not alone. My goal was the national championships, not to place, to hit the Olympic A cut. I needed to go from 258 down to within 210, but I knew the gap wasn't in the water. It was inside my body. Those abilities were just asleep. They needed someone to wake them up. And that someone was only me. I didn't tell David. We talked less and less, and he spent less and less time at home. He slept in the guest room. I slept the master. We were like two roommates living under the same roof, leading parallel lives. Only our daughter Lucy still connected us. She was 7, and she didn't know that Dad was often away because he was at the training center with another woman. Not with coaching, but I could read the look between them. I made myself a training plan. Every morning at 4, I got up, drove to the pool, swam 2 hours, then came home to make breakfast and take Lucy to school. In the afternoon, I swam another 2 hours, then picked Lucy up, made dinner, and helped her with homework. The first week, my time dropped from 2:58 to 2:58 seconds. The second week, 2:45, another 5 seconds. My body was waking up, not just my muscles, but my memory. Every stroke, every turn reminded me that I used to own this water. At night, after Lucy fell asleep, I did strength training. Push-ups, pull-ups, core work.
Mommy is getting stronger.
The water hadn't forgotten me. Not many people trained at that pool. Regulars included a few retired old folks, a veteran with a bad knee, and Max. One day, an old man with white hair stood by the pool watching me for a long time. He wore an old national team tracksuit with a team emblem they didn't use anymore. His name was Coach Wang. He was in his 70s, a retired national team coach who had produced world champions.
Your technique is right, but your rhythm is off. You used to be competitive, didn't you?
I hesitated, then told him my name.
I know you. I watched your 200 fly back then. You've still got something unfinished in the water.
I said I wanted to compete at nationals.
You're 40. Do you know what that age means?
Yes. Because I want my daughter to know that mommy isn't just good at cooking. Coach Wang took off his glasses and wiped the lenses. He was quiet so long I thought he wasn't going to say anything else.
All right. I'll help you.
From that day on, he became my coach. Free of charge. He said he didn't want money, just for me to swim well and not embarrass him. David found out. Not that I was training, that I had changed. My shoulders were broader, my arms had definition, and my skin was tanned.
What are you training for?
Working out, getting older, gotta keep moving. He didn't push, but he saw the pull-up bars on the doorway, the swim bag in the corner, and the screenshot of my training plan on my phone. That day he came home an hour earlier than usual and sat in the living room waiting for me. Lucy was already asleep.
The entry list for nationals. I saw your name on it.
Yes, I'm coming back. He looked at me with complicated eyes. No blessing, no encouragement, just something I couldn't read. Later I realized what it was, fear. He was afraid of me getting back in the pool, back under the spotlight, being too brilliant and outshining the new star beside him. And he was even more afraid of people finding out that back then, it wasn't Elena's decision to retire. It was his.
Elena, are you serious about this? What about Lucy? She needs her mother.
Lucy also needs a happy mother. He was quiet for a long time, then grabbed his jacket and walked out. That night, he didn't come back. Coach Wang made a detailed training plan for me. 6 hours a day, technique in the morning, conditioning in the afternoon, video analysis at night. He said a 40-year-old body can't compete with a 20-year-old's, but a 40-year-old brain can. Your experience, your feel for rhythm, and the water young swimmers don't have that. Your disadvantage is stamina. Your advantage is your mind. Swim with your head, not just brute force. I realized that a lot of my old movements came from instinct, but now they were becoming conscious. Max sometimes came to watch, then started training with us.
Keep going. Auntie, why do you want to come back?
Because I want to prove that 40 isn't the end.
Then I want to prove that injury isn't the end either.
He swam the 100-meter freestyle. His best time on the provincial team was 50 seconds. After his injury, he dropped to 54. His goal was to get back to 50. He couldn't make the Olympics, but he could make the Asian Games, the national championships. I made his goal my goal too. Chloe Wang's 200 butterfly time improved again. 2 minutes 6 seconds, just 0.3 of a second from the Olympic A cut. The media hailed her as the next Elena. In interviews, when reporters asked who her idol was, she said Coach Cohen. Not Elena, Coach Cohen. David stood beside her, his expression complicated. I turned off the video and kept stretching.
This is the qualifying time for nationals, 2 minutes 10 seconds. You're at 2:35, so you need to cut 25 seconds. 3 months. Do you have confidence?
Yes.
Then let's train.
Lucy started to notice that Mommy was getting busier. I stopped picking her up after school. A babysitter did it instead. On weekends, instead of going to the park with her, I was at the pool.
She asked me why I didn't play with her anymore.
Mommy is training for a competition.
Like on TV?
Yes.
Will you win?
Winning isn't everything, but I have to finish. She didn't really understand, but she hugged me. David would text occasionally, asking how Lucy was doing at school, if she'd eaten. He knew Coach Wang was training me, and he knew which pool I went to every day. But he pretended not to know, and pretended not to care. Training ended early that day, and Max took me to a noodle stand on the street. He didn't talk much usually, but after a couple sips of soda that day, he opened up. He told me his dad was a construction worker and his mom left when he was 12. His dad raised him alone, put him through sports school, hoping he'd make something of himself. The day he got hurt and had to quit, his dad was quiet on the phone for a long time. He said, then stop swimming, get a regular job.
It's not that he doesn't support me. He's afraid of me getting hurt again. He says swimming already ruined my back. He doesn't want it to ruin my future, too.
I looked at him and suddenly remembered the face David made when he said Lucy needs her mother. Sometimes it's for your own good is the cruelest thing you can say. Then why do you still want to swim? He looked up, his eyes bright.
Because it's the only thing I know how to do. When I swim, I feel alive.
I was quiet for a long time. I remembered that morning when I stood at the pool's edge, shaking. We're both people who live because of the water. Then let's swim together. He smiled, raised his soda cup, and clicked it against my water bottle. Max's time started improving, from 54 seconds down to 52. He was so excited he said he'd take me out to eat. Wait until you break 51, then treat me.
Okay.
The pool was almost empty that day. Coach Wong was sick and didn't come. I trained alone. When I got out, Max was still swimming. I sat at the edge watching him. Freestyle, nice flat body, efficient pull, but his turns were too slow, costing him time. When he got out, I told him.
How could you tell?
I'd seen it too many times. One of my old teammates had the same issue. He thanked me and started practicing his turns. Over and over, a dozen times. I counted for him and kept his time. Do you want to be too tired for tomorrow's training?
No.
Then go home.
You know, you're the first person who's really watched me swim. My old coaches always said I had talent, but no one ever told me what I was doing wrong.
That's because your old coaches weren't good enough. He smiled, got on his bike, and disappeared into the night. By the 6th week of training, my body started sending warning signals. My knees hurt, shoulders ached, and every morning I had to sit on the edge of the bed for a while before I could stand. Coach Wang noticed but didn't say much, just cut half an hour from the afternoon strength for session. One day after a 200 fly set, I climbed out of the water. My legs gave way and I collapsed to my knees at the edge. Max ran over to help me up. Coach Wang came over, squatted down, and looked me in the eye.
Do you know what an older athlete fears most?
Injury.
Not injury, giving up. And you're not there yet.
That night I got home and Lucy was already asleep. I sat on the bathroom floor, hot water pouring over me, and finally let the tears fall. Not because of the pain, because I was scared. Scared that even if I gave it everything, I still wouldn't make it. Scared that when I told my daughter Mommy is cool, it would end up as Mommy lost. But the next morning at 4 a.m., I still got up. Because that night I dreamed of myself at 19. She stood on the podium and yelled at me, "What are you waiting for?" I didn't wait. I turned off the alarm and walked out the door. The national championships were 2 months away. My time had gone from 2:58 to 2:26, 16 seconds away from the qualifying standard. Coach Wang said the last 16 seconds would get harder and harder. Those just swelling are more vulnerable to rushing. The more you rush, the easier you get hurt, and then it's all over. David finally couldn't hold back anymore. He came to the pool, not to see me, but to see Coach Wang. He wanted Coach Wang to come to the national team and help him train the young swimmers. Better pay, better facilities, way better than being stuck in a community pool.
Thanks, but I'm not going.
Why?
Because I made a promise to someone.
David followed his gaze and saw me pulling through the water, my movements no longer as clumsy as they'd been at the start. He didn't say anything. He turned and left. That night when I got home, Lucy was already asleep. David was sitting in the living room with the lights off. I changed and came out, saw him there, and was startled.
Elena, Are you really going to compete at nationals?
I nodded. He was quiet for a long time.
You know what people will say if you lose, right? They'll say Elena is old and done. They'll say retiring back then was the right call. They'll say you never should have come back.
I knew who he meant by people. Him, David. I don't care what people say anymore. What I care about is whether my daughter sees her mom in the pool and thinks, my mom is awesome. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. One day after training, Coach Wang didn't rush off.
Do you know why I come here?
I shook my head. He said his wife had been gone for 3 years and his kids were all abroad. He lived alone and every day he just watched TV or stared into space. Then he started coming to this pool, watching the water, watching the people, and felt like life was still livable.
I taught swimming my whole life, produced world champions, Olympic medalists. After I retired, nobody remembered me.
He said this calmly, like he was talking about someone else.
But you're different. You came back on your own, not for money, not for fame, just because you wanted to swim. That's why I want to help you. Not because you'll win a title, but because you're doing something I wanted to do but couldn't, not letting anyone else define you.
That night I went home and wrote in my journal, Coach Wang, not swimming for time, I'm swimming for freedom. I don't fully understand it yet, but I'll remember. 1 month before the competition, my time was stuck at 2:8:18, 8 seconds from the standard, with only 4 weeks left.
Those last 8 seconds required race feeling, not just training. You need to compete against strong swimmers. Find your rhythm, find your heartbeat, find yourself under pressure.
He brought in a few active young swimmers to swim with me, not butterfly, but medley, so I could follow their pace. After 2 weeks, my time actually went from 2:18 to 2:20.
It wasn't a regression. My body was adjusting to the new intensity.
If I was worried.
No.
You're not worried? I am.
What are you worried about?
I wanted to see you on the starting brackets at nationals, to shut up all those people who look down on being 40.
Max's 100 free had reached 51 seconds. 1 second from his goal. His dad still hadn't come around, but Max didn't care anymore. He said it was his own business and didn't need anyone's permission. I suddenly realized that we were the same, both unsupported, but he was braver than me. He was young, and he wasn't afraid of losing. Lucy's school held a parent-child sports day. She signed up for the 50-meter breaststroke because Mommy was a swimmer, and she figured Mommy would come. I went. David didn't. He said he was busy. The event was at a community pool next to the school. Lucy wore her little swimsuit, her face pale with nervousness. I squatted down to encourage her, telling her Mommy was right there watching. Don't be scared.
If me would swim very fast?
You don't have to be fast. Just finish.
Okay.
She swam in 55 seconds. She swallowed some water halfway, but she didn't stop. She finished. When she climbed out, she looked at me first, and I gave her a thumbs up.
Mommy, I finished.
I held her, my eyes burning. They don't understand winning, only finishing. And finishing is more important than being perfect. That night, Lucy drew a picture. Me, her, and a pool.
They were splashes. Mommy, you have to finish your race too, okay?
Okay. She stuck the drawing on the fridge. The old bakery we knew near home closed down. Max told me Coach Wang was in the hospital. Nothing serious, just high blood pressure, needed rest. I went to the hospital to see him. He was lying in bed with an IV in his arm.
How much did you swim today?
2,000.
You needed to increase the volume. The competition was coming up.
You should rest.
Elena, I've taught swimming my whole life, produced world champions, Olympic medalists, but the thing I'm most proud of, it's not them.
I looked at him.
It's you. A 40-year-old woman who dared to get back in the water, who dared to fight against herself. That's a lot harder than winning gold. Go. I'll be fine. I'll come watch on race day.
I left the room and stood in the hallway for a long time. Excuse me, are you family? I was his student. She gave me a look and didn't ask again. 2 weeks left until the competition. My time was down to 2:13, 3 seconds from the standard. These were the most critical 3 seconds and also the hardest.
3 seconds weren't about physical fitness, they were about willpower. You have the 150-meter mark feeling like you're about to die, then tell yourself you can still swim another 50 meters. Those 50 meters are the dividing line.
David started showing up at home more often, not because he'd changed his mind, to observe. He talked to Lucy, watched TV with her, helped me do the dishes. He made it look natural, but I knew what he was watching, my condition. He wanted to see if I'd get tired and come back to him, if I still had the energy to keep swimming. What he didn't know was that every time I ever training, I would lick the winnie day chow mizitwits and I would leanung relax the main didn't see how exhausted.
Mom, do you and Dad still fight?
We never fought.
Then why don't you smile?
Because grown-ups sometimes forget how to smile. But when Mommy sees you, I smile. She hugged me. That night, David came home very late. I heard him stand at the door for a long time before coming in. Late one night, 1 week before the competition, I sat alone in my study. On the table were the technique analysis charts Coach Wang had given me, next to the little flag Lucy had drawn, and an old envelope with my photo when I was 19. And so looked at that girl's photo and suddenly wanted to ask her question, "Do you have any regrets?" I thought for a long time. No regrets, not because the path I took was right, but because I chose it myself. Marrying David, retiring, coming back, every step was my own choice. I knew that tomorrow or day after the result, I would have to face one fact. I'm no longer that 19-year-old world champion. But I'm also not that 32-year-old housewife who was talked into quitting. I'm 40-year-old Elena, still in the water, still swimming. That's enough. 1 week before the competition, the national team's training camp for nationals ended. Chloe went back to her hometown, not on vacation, but for a tune-up. David came back too, saying he wanted to spend more time with Lucy. Lucy was happy, but I knew that wasn't the real reason. He was here to make sure I wouldn't pose a threat to Chloe. 3 days before the competition, I went to the pool for my last hard workout. Max was there too. He said he wanted to test 100 free and see if he could break 51 seconds. I stood at the edge timing him, start, turn, sprint. He went 51.02, 200ths of a second off. He lay on the edge breathing hard, his eyes red. Next week, in the real race, you'll get it.
I'm scared.
Do you know what scares me the most in the 200 fly? It's not that I can't swim anymore, it's turning and not seeing my competitors. You know what? That's not fear of losing, it's fear of loneliness. In your lane, you're alone. The splash is loud, you can't see anyone else, you can only hear yourself gasping. You'll think, oh my God, I still have so far to go. But every time I tell myself, just one more stroke, just one more. And when you take that last stroke, you realize you've made it. He listened, his head buried in his arms.
I'll try.
The last workout went well. I swam 2:12, another second faster. Coach Wang didn't say anything on the sidelines, but I saw his hands clenched tight. Max was the same, even more nervous than me. Only Lucy wasn't nervous. She was in the stands cheering for me, and she'd drawn a little flag. 2 days before the competition, David came home earlier than usual.
They were for Lucy.
Lucy was thrilled, spinning around the living room holding the flowers. I stood in the kitchen doorway watching, and a strange feeling crept up on me. It had been so long since he'd acted like this. That night, after Lucy fell asleep, he came into my room. He was holding a small bottle with a clear liquid inside.
It was a vitamin supplement. Drink it before you had to boost performance, from the team doctor.
I took it and looked. The label said vitamin B12. The seal was missing, like it had been opened. Thanks, just put it on the table. He hesitated, then set it down and left. I opened my phone and searched for that vitamin's packaging. The online photos all showed a seal. Mine didn't have one. I smelled it, no odor. I drew out a bit with a syringe, sealed it, and put it in my bag. I didn't sleep that night, not from nerves, because I was thinking, if this is real, what do I do? The next day, I took the sample to an independent testing lab. Expited, Results in 24 hours. What it was? It was a vitamin someone gave me, and I wanted to know if there was anything in it that shouldn't be there. She didn't ask more. I walked out of the building. The sun was blinding. I stood on the steps for a long time. How I wished the test would come back negative. How I wished he had simply given me a real bottle of vitamins. Not because I couldn't handle losing, but because I didn't want to believe that the man I'd shared a bed with for over a decade would try to destroy me this way. Something came up. I'll be there tomorrow. Lucy's homeroom teacher called to say Lucy had been distracted in class lately. I went into her room. She was drawing, as usual, a pool.
Mom, can I come watch your race?
Yes, Mommy saved a ticket for you.
Isn't Dad going?
Dad might be busy.
Dad said he would go. He said it yesterday.
When you saw Dad?
That day, when he told her he would go.
I called David. He didn't pick up. I called again, still no answer. The lab called. The result was positive. That vitamin contained trace amounts of nandrolone, a banned substance. The dose wasn't large enough to significantly boost performance, but it was enough to get me banned. He didn't want me to win. He wanted me to not even show up at the competition. If I tested positive, I'd be banned for life. No nationals, no comeback, my reputation destroyed. I put the report on the table and sat there for a long time. Coach Wong called and asked what was wrong. I said nothing. Max texted, and I didn't reply. I went to David's office. He was watching training footage, Chloe's. When he saw me, he hit pause. That vitamin you gave me, it had nandrolone in it.
That's impossible.
I have the test report right here. You want to see it?
Someone set me up.
I knew he'd say that.
Elena, who gave you that sample? Which bottle did you take? What did you say?
The testing lab. David suddenly stood up and smashed the cup on his desk against the floor. I looked into his eyes. It wasn't anger. It was fear. Not fear of me exposing him. Fear of losing Chloe, losing those young swimmers, losing everything he'd carefully built. I've given the test report to the anti-doping agency. They'll come to investigate you. From now on, don't come near Lucy. He didn't speak. I turned and walked out. Walking out of the building, the wind picked up. Coach Wong was waiting for me at the entrance. How did you know to come?
Max told me. He said you didn't come to training today and you didn't look right.
You know everything?
He told me. What do you want to do?
I've already turned in the report.
Then leave it to them. You just focus on your swimming.
Coach Wang, aren't you going to ask me anything?
Ask what? I trust you.
Max's car was parked at the curb. He rolled down the window, his face pale.
Get in.
No one spoke on the drive. Max gripped the steering wheel, his hands shaking.
I can go teach him a lesson for you.
No, the law will handle it.
Then I'll go to the competition with you.
Back home, Lucy was asleep on the couch, the TV still on. I sat next to her and watched her sleeping face. This kid didn't know yet that her father might never come back to this home. I picked her up, carried her to her room, and tucked her in. She turned over and mumbled something I couldn't make out. I kissed her forehead and turned off the light. I went back to the living room, picked up that vitamin bottle, and stared at it for a long time. My phone lit up. David had sent a message. "Are you really going to do this?" I didn't reply. Anti-doping agency investigators came. The questioning went on for a long time. Every detail magnified. I gave them the vitamin bottle, the test report, and the recording of my conversation with David. I'd secretly recorded it from the moment he walked into my room.
Elena, take these. They'll help you.
After the questioning, the staff packed up to leave.
Mrs. Korn, are you still planning to compete at nationals?
Yes.
Have you qualified yet?
Not yet. But I will.
Good luck.
I shook his hand. The news wasn't made major league investigation. Dave is suspended from his coaching in national team pending an internal Tover investigation. Chloe sent a message saying she wanted to see me. We met at a cafe. She was dressed plainly, no makeup, none of her competition fierceness. She asked if it was true, no thing she meant David framing me or whatever was between them. The media is all the swims are guessing too. I really want to know the truth. What do you want to ask? Elena, I know I've wronged you. Is there something between you and him? No, he's always been very good to me, very caring, but only as a coach to an athlete. I know what people are saying, but I don't know how to clear it up. I'm afraid of making things worse, afraid of hurting my performance, afraid of losing my chance. But now I'm just tired. The drug thing has nothing to do with you. That was David's choice. It wasn't because of you. He's just afraid of me coming back, afraid of me stealing the spotlight, afraid of people finding out that he pushed me to retire back then. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. After Chloe left, I sat in the cafe, my coffee cold. 2 days before the competition, Coach Wong adjusted Max's training plan. Lower intensity, just maintaining form.
Was good. No need to add more volume. Doing more might just make him nervous.
Okay,
What was wrong?
nothing.
That afternoon, we ended training early. Coach Wong treated us to a meal at a Chinese restaurant pool. He ordered a lot of dishes, fishes, kung pao, kung chicken, pickle nipple fish, max spicy food, so he kept drinking water. When he finished, Codon is poured for him. Coach Wong's eyes got red.
No matter what happens tomorrow or the day after, as long as you've done your best, that's enough. I don't want first place and I don't want last. I want you to be able to face yourselves.
Max raised his glass and took a big gulp and choked. Lucy giggled. That night, on the way home with Lucy.
Mom, why were Grandpa Wong's eyes red?
Because he was happy.
Do grown-ups cry when they're happy too?
Yes. Grown-ups are people too. She thought about it, like she understood. Before leaving for the competition, Varyu, I sat at the edge of the pool, alone, looking at the blue water. It was early evening, almost no one around. Just a lifeguard dozing off. The water was still, bottomless, like the past year. I thought of David. When we first met, he used to sit by the pool and watch me too. Back then, his eyes had light, ambition, love. I thought it would last. Later, that light was replaced by something else. I don't know if it was power, status, or something else. I only know that the man who once told me to swim until I died ended up being the one who told me to leave the water. Lucy ran over and put a bracelet on my wrist. She'd made it herself, colored beads sprung together, crooked and cute.
Mom, this is a lucky bracelet. I made it for you.
Thank you, sweetie.
You have to wear it while you swim. It's waterproof.
Okay.
Go, Mommy! I'll cheer for you from the stands.
Lights went out one by one. The lifeguards started clearing the pool. I walked out. Tomorrow, everything would be different. On the day of the national championships, the pool was buzzing. I stood in the athlete area, wearing an old-style national team swimsuit. No sponsor, no team doctor, no massage therapist. Only Coach Wang stood beside me. Max was warming up in the next lane. He still came, saying he wanted to cheer for me. Lucy was in the stands, holding the little flag I'd drawn for her. Next to her was Coach Wang's wife.
Elena Kovac, 40 years old, competing as an individual.
The commentator's mic was still on and whispers filled the venue. 40? Can't be the same one, can she? It's her. Something's going on there. I took a deep breath and stepped onto the starting block. Chloe was in the next lane. She didn't look at me, just adjusted her goggles. The starting gun fired. The moment I dove in, the sound of water swallowed everything. I couldn't hear anything except my own heartbeat and the pull of my strokes. First 50 meters, I was ahead. Turned, held on. At 100 meters, strength started to fade, but I knew I couldn't slow down. At 150 meters came the worst part. My arms felt like lead, my breathing was rapid, my lungs felt like they were going to burst. I told myself just one more stroke, then another. Don't look at her, don't look at anyone, just the black T-line at the bottom of the pool. That was my lane. The last 50 meters, I heard the splashes. Not someone else's, mine. That sound told me I was still swimming. I touched the wall, looked up at the big screen. The time wasn't up yet. Chloe was in the next lane, just arriving. We looked each other across the lane rope. She didn't speak, and neither did I. The screen flashed the results. Next to my name, 2:10.01. The Olympic cut was 2:10.0. I missed it by 1/100th of a second. Not what I wanted, but it was enough. Not contentment, acceptance. She clove beside it, not mockingly, but with relief. The whole venue erupted in applause. For me, for her, for this summer.
It's okay! You were awesome!